This is Mental Life Education. Follow me on YouTube on this channel and continue to learn how to live a quality life in your mind. Today we are looking at where does worry come from? Where does fear come from? Many of us have been struggling with fear and worry, bitterness, anger, jealousy, unhappiness, depression, loneliness in our mind, and we do not know where they come from. We've always been accusing people and problems and situations as the cause of our unhappiness. When we are in financial crisis, we think that we are unhappy because of the financial crisis. So we accuse and hold and blame the financial crisis being responsible for our unhappiness. We blame the behavior of people responsible for our loneliness, our jealousy, our anger, our hatred, our envy. But the question is, does worry come from financial crisis? Does worry, fear come from bad news? Does anxiety come from the negative behavior of people? Let's do a critical analysis of this. If you think very deep, and I call this one advanced thinking. If we do advanced thinking into this, you realize that worry, fear, bitterness, anger, jealousy, unhappiness do not come from your financial difficulties, the problem you find yourself within. Why am I saying that? There are times when you find yourself in certain situations, at the moment you change your thinking about them, they no longer become a source of worry to you. So, where do worry, fear, bitterness come from? Those things come from a nature we acquired from our parent, called sin nature, as the Bible will explain. The Bible calls it sin nature. In psychology, they will call it human nature. But I prefer to use sin nature. Biblically, the sin nature was acquired through Adam and Eve. So through this nature, we are able to distinguish between what is good and what is bad. And this nature is found in our mind, in our brain, This nature is in our brain. And this nature sends thoughts, desires, and emotions to our mind. Therefore, the thoughts and the desires and emotions sent into our mind, when our mind begins to use them, then of course, they end up producing worry and bitterness in our mind. The knowledge supplied by the sin nature, which is in our brain to the mind, give us either good thoughts or evil thoughts about things. The evil thoughts about things is what the mind uses to produce bitterness, anxiety, anger, jealousy, fear, and unhappiness. The sin nature sees problems to be evil. And so the sin nature in our brain will send such a message, a thought to our mind, that this problem that you have is not good. And then the mind will also use such a knowledge, such a thought, to produce worry, fear, bitterness, unhappiness in our heart. When the sin nature sends a thought which says that this situation is good, then the mind will use that knowledge, that thought, to produce happiness. So that thought about the situation, which the sin nature is telling our mind that it is good, our mind will begin to use that knowledge, that thought, to produce good emotions and happiness and peace. So the categorization of things into good and bad by the sin nature in our brain and transferring those categorization in the form of thoughts in our mind is where our worry, fear, bitterness come from. So the sin nature in your brain is the source of your worry. You are not worried because of yourself. You are worried because the sin nature in your brain is worried about the situation that you are in. And then the sin nature will transfer this worry into your mind and make you believe that worry is coming from you yourself. The sin nature is afraid of certain things. And when those things take place and the sin nature become afraid of them, the sin nature will send the thought of fear into our mind, will transfer that fear into our mind and make us believe that we are the one who are afraid. Then, of course, we'll begin to entertain the fear in our mind. The sin nature in your brain is responsible for your unhappiness. The sin nature in your brain is responsible for your worry, responsible for your fear, responsible for your anger, responsible for your jealousy, responsible for your hatred. You are not the one. And so you need to identify this, especially this activity of the sin nature, and learn certain principles to overcome the activity of the sin nature in our brain in order to be a happy person. So the nature you acquired from Adam and Eve after they ate the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is resided in your brain, is responsible for your worry, for your fear, for your bitterness, for your anger. This nature creates thoughts about situations, and those thoughts can either be good or bad. If it is a good thought about something, the mind will use those thoughts to manufacture happiness. If it is a bad thought about something, the mind will use that thought to manufacture worry, fear, and bitterness. Leave problem alone. You've been accusing problem for a long time, and your accusation against problem responsible for your happiness is not true. Problem is good. Problem come to us to do no harm. Problems are not responsible for your unhappiness. It is the sin nature in your brain that transfers thoughts into your mind is what is responsible for your worry. So the sin nature is part of our brain, and it only creates thoughts, desires, and emotions in our mind about things that we experience, either into good thoughts or bad thoughts. The mind doesn't create thoughts. The mind is a user of thoughts that is supplied into it. Therefore, if you can identify the sin nature being responsible for your worry, you can actually gain mastery over worry and fear. The sin nature is very deceptive. After becoming worried about your financial crisis, it will hide itself in your brain and transfer that worry to your mind and make you believe that you are the one who is worried. You are the one who is unhappy. You are the one who is afraid. Meanwhile, it is the sin nature that is committing those wrongs in our mind. If we can know the source of our worries coming from the sin nature, then we'll continue to be able to learn principles for overcoming the activities of the sin nature. The sin nature is your enemy. That is the cause of your worry. But it is always hiding in your brain to make you feel that you are the one who is worried. You are the one who is afraid. after it has transferred the worry and the fear into your mind. This is mental life education. We'll continue to learn the principles regarding how to live a quality life in our mind. Continue to follow me on this channel, Mental Life Education, in order to learn more about the sin nature that is responsible for our unhappiness, worry, and fear, and how you can overcome them. Continue to follow me on YouTube, on this channel. This is Mental Life Education. I am your mental life educationist.